Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Tirza, and I have with me the lovely Colleen Cannon. And she is the founder of Women's Quest, and for 25 years, correct?
Correct.
25 years, she has been taking women all over the world on these awesome retreats and excursions. So I'm really excited to have her on board, and she's going to say more about what she does. She does so many things and has a really incredible story. So take it away, Colleen.
Okay. Well, you wanted me to tell you a little bit about my story. My story's quite long, so I'll try and kind of do the Cliff Note version of my story. So I was pretty much athletic my whole life. I didn't really like to travel, but I got into a sport called triathlon. And I got into triathlon because I was a runner at Auburn University in the South. So I was a half-mile runner. So that's only 2 times around the track. And I was also a swimmer at Auburn. And so I kind of swam and ran growing up. But the only reasons I did that was because I wanted to be outside. And I had a love for horses at a very, very young age. And I would read little books on horses. But I didn't understand that people owned horses. And one day, this was between the first and second grade, so I was like 7 years old actually, and I went running upon this barn, and there were all these horses, and I was like, oh my God, I've hit nirvana. And I go pet each horse, like I was like, this brought a blade of grass to each horse. I'm like, this is fantastic. And I went there every single day, and there was this one special pony named Buttercup that I actually fell in love with. And the owner of the barns, Doc Garish, so this is in Indiana now, he saw me coming every day, this little kid, I was quite small, coming to see this pony every day. These horses were actually in a barn, locked in stalls, and I would come and see them. And so he goes, well, do you know how to ride? And do you know how to ride? I'm like, absolutely, I know, I can ride. And that started this whole journey of this love to being outside with horses. And so that was all through growing up. And then I went to high school. We moved to Alabama, and I was living with my dad. And just to back up a little bit, I would run back and forth to the barn. So kind of like Forrest Gump. I would run back and forth to the barn every day, and it was like 2 miles each way. So I became a runner, and sometimes I would run in the dark. So I was like fast. And then in Alabama, my brother's girlfriend had a horse, and she was going to college. And she goes, do you want my horse for 4 years? And I was like, oh my gosh, Nirvana number 2. And so I said yes. So to get to that horse, I had to ride my bike. So I was well primed for the sport of triathlon because the horse was about 11 miles away. So I rode back and forth to that horse all the time. So basically I think I became an athlete and all because I love to be outside and in nature, but also my love for animals. And the sport of triathlon kind of came at a whim. I was on my last quarter at Auburn, and my boyfriend was going to do this thing called a triathlon. And remember, I said Auburn, Alabama. So this is a long time ago. And in the South, I love the South. The people are great. But basically, everybody was like 20 years behind. So the only thing that I had done was a walkathon where you walk and you get pennies per mile, right? Have you done that before? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'm like, okay, my boyfriend's going to go do this triathlon. I haven't raised any money to go do this triathlon, pennies per mile to give to the people, but I'm going to go along anyway. And it was in Oxford, Maryland. So we drive up from Alabama to Maryland, and I bring my bike because I'm just there to support. But the night before, Fletcher Hanks, it was this great old race director. He was fantastic. He was like probably in his 80s when he started all of this. And he goes, well, can you help me fill the packets tonight? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. And then for doing that, he gave me an entry into the event. And I told him, I'm like, but I don't have sponsors. And he goes, well, it's okay. You don't really need sponsors. And I'm thinking, okay, whatever. And so that night I went and got like tons of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I wasn't into my health food phase yet. I got tons of like all kinds of oatmeal cakes, Little Debbie's and Coca-Cola, and my bike. I have to explain, my bike was an upright bike. It had streamers. It had baskets on the front and on the back. It was hilarious. I mean, the whole thing. I put my pillow in there. I didn't have a race outfit. So to make a long story short, I get down to the start of the race, and my bike has a kickstand, so I put my kickstand down, and the race starts. Well, I am a swimmer, so it was a 2.4 mile swim, and I just ran behind the kayak, and I'm like, oh, this is great, this is wonderful, like a nice little warm-up. I get out of the swim, and I didn't understand it was a race where you had to go from one to the next. And the next was different than most triathlons. It was a 20-mile run. And I only run really 5 miles, warming up and warming down for the 800 meters. So I'm out there, I'm like clapping for people to get out of the water. I'm thinking it's really fun. I was the first person out of the water. So there was no one to follow, nothing to do. So I just waited for people to come in. And they all came in. And then I saw this group of really cute boys. And I'm like, oh, I'll run with them. That could be really fun. And so I ran with these guys. And I told them that I hadn't run over 5 miles. And so they kept telling me their stories. And it was like we were in this group consciousness in a way. And what really I found out from that was that it's the power of the group. That's why with Women's Quest, anybody can do anything because it's the power of this group. So I'm in there running. And finally I get to the end and I'm like, oh, thank God, I'm going to have lunch now. And so I go down to my bike and everybody else is going off to the next event. You know, they're like on their bikes, they're going really fast. And there was even a beer tent there. So I stop at the beer tent. I'm just like, why is everybody in such a rush? These people are crazy. I had my lunch. I get on my bike riding, and in 5 miles, there's an aid station. I put my kickstand down. I go have a ton of food. You know, I bring all that food on my bike. I thought, this is amazing. So the bike ride was 50 miles. So, you know, I barely made it through the 50 miles. At 35 miles, I get off my bike. I see these aid station tents, and I think that's where we're sleeping. So I get off with my big pillow and I go down and I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. This is where I'm going to sleep. And they thought I was some kind of emergency. The only emergency I really had was my crotch because I did not plan well. At that time, they didn't have bike shorts. I was in a Speedo running bathing suit and I was like in pain. But they said, you're the first woman, just keep going. And I'm like, but I don't have any sponsors. So then they said, well, maybe we should take her blood pressure. You know, she's acting a little crazy. Anyway, I ended up getting second in that event, and they're specialized in Nike and all these sponsors were there. And that's how it all started. They wanted me to be on their teams, and I started racing triathlon around the world. For about 15 years, I raced everywhere.
Wow.
I got to enjoy an active lifestyle and learn so much from different mentors. So in the very early days, before Deepak Chopra was famous, I learned meditation. And I learned the importance of an Ayurvedic diet and just well-being. So I learned that very early in my career. I also learned something from Dr. Phil Maffetone, who was my coach, and he's amazing. He knows all about the heart rate. So I'm sure I was the first woman to run with a heart rate monitor. It was a huge box and it fit right on your chest and it would beep. Like if you went over your heart zone, it'd like, dee, 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 you know, it would go crazy. So I was really lucky that I learned about how to stay healthy as well as fit. So that was huge because healthy was the mind, body, and the spirit, you know, and as an athlete, especially in a triathlon in this world, you want to be on a very fine line of health and wellness and fitness. You're kind of extreme, but you can go over. So you have to learn really how to take care of yourself well. So I learned that. And also early days, Louise Hay would come to Boulder and I would do these great before Hay House, but I learned all about visualization and affirmations and using the mind, which I thought was really, really important. So this is the early 80s that I'm doing all this crazy stuff. So that's kind of my short story. And then toward the end of my career, I was in Boulder. I was out for a little run, you know, normal Boulder run, and it's like in the evening, and there's a gathering at the church down the street. And it's a Hopi gathering, and they're talking about the prophecy. And I think the prophecy was the year 2000. This was 1992, at the end of 1992. And they said at the end, everybody left, but I was in the front row. I had my running shorts on. Everybody left, and I was so mesmerized. I kind of wanted to talk to them, but I didn't really want to talk to them. So I just stood there. And they all came around me, and they said, women will save the planet. So they said it 3 times. They said, women will save the planet. And by the 3rd time, I was like, whoa, women will save the planet. And then I'm like, well, why are you looking at me? I'm a triathlete. In fact, I'm probably late for my massage and getting my special granola made. And, you know, and so I'm like, well, okay, women, that's great. I'm glad. More power to the women. And I really didn't think about it anymore. And then I had a race, my final race in the national championships, and I just pulled off the course. And I said, I really need to do something that I feel where I can give back and help people through what I have learned in the sport of triathlon, which wasn't grinding yourself into being like top fit shape and racing around the world. It was more about how to be in the body and taking care of yourself, learning mindfulness, meditation, and all of that was really what trickled down into the earth. And I knew that if I could activate women, that women really could save the planet, or conscious women, or I'll say, I don't know, I guess not all women are into it, but if women, because they have their children and they want to take care of their children, and we are, I think, like 80% of the buying power. So if women are activated, then they can really do anything. So saving the planet, if you get them connected to the planet by being outdoors and being in nature and learning these new tools of how to feel good in nature and feel comfortable in nature, then I think that was my whole goal. So that's how Women's Quest started 25 years ago. So it's a long time, but since then I brought in all of these tools. You know, we have the best instructors as far as fitness goes, because most of the athletes are either past Olympians or national or world champions. So that's kind of our staff is made of all these really, really great people who know a lot about the expertise of staying fit and healthy and well. And then I always say I have a PhD in play, because really what I want to do
That's
is
awesome.
it's not a real PhD, you guys, because somebody emailed me, where did you get that PhD? I want it. And I'm like, oh my God, just go outside, play some tag, get a PhD in play. So, anyway, because really you want to have fun and you want to play and you want to enjoy yourself. In fact, I drew this little tea thing this morning on my tea. You know how you have the celestial seasonings tea? This one says there's nothing more important than feeling good and feeling good and being in joy. And I was like, oh my God, that's perfect for today. Because when I get outside, that's when I feel joy. So that's kind of a long winded story about how Women's Quest came about. The other part of Women's Quest is I feel there needs to be a balance between this fitness and outside into the internal world, which is very calm and can have the same frequency as the outside. So learning meditation and mindfulness and breath and how to quiet down and de-stress is so important. And because I've traveled a lot, I go to all these other countries. They're not like it here. In the US, people are like insane. You know, it's like I have a cup of coffee and they have to go, do, be, excel every moment. And they don't even eat lunch. They don't even eat breakfast, you know, and forget dinner, you know, it's like, and then they have to chug wine or antidepressants to kind of like calm down. But when you go to Italy or you go to Peru or you go to Costa Rica, in Costa Rica, they have Pura Vida, which is like around Pura Vida time. And in Hawaii, it's all like, oh yeah, we'll get around to it. And so it's really quite interesting in that world that I feel we're on the go, do, be phase. And so learning some little daily practices of how to actually be awake instead of just going through your life asleep and not fulfilling your dreams and destiny. I think that's part of what we do too.
I noticed actually on my walk yesterday that I was like the only American. There's all these foreigners, you know, utilizing our parks. And I'm like, there's something wrong with this picture. And I'm, you know, I was like, wow, we have something to learn from, you know, the non-Americans. They're utilizing our parks more than we are, because they have that in them, like it's, you know, taking that intentional time to be outside and to just kind of, you know, taking that time not to work.
Yeah, they take the whole month of August off. So you don't want to travel to Europe in August because everybody's on vacation, which is so smart. And they also have 4-day work weeks at certain times. Like if you're riding your bike in Italy between 12 and 3, there's nobody there because they're all having lunch. It's a long time.
Right.
Funny, I had my neighbor from Italy and I wanted him to do this postcard for me, and because he was really good in marketing, and he goes, okay, but I've got to have my lunch first, you know, and it was a deadline. He's like, it'll be okay. I need to eat and relax. And it was like 3 hours long. I was like,
you're like, I need it now.
No. Then I go back to my weird self and go, okay, calm down. Everything will be okay. Let's enjoy life. I think that's their big motto is enjoy life. Let's really enjoy why we're here.
Yeah. I think, there's definitely a culture of hustle, and it's detrimental to a lot of people, and they go through life not really ever discovering, you know, who they are beyond, you know, where they go to work every day and come home, and not taking time really really does a number on people.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Time. I always try to, I always say there's Kairos time, which is the magical time, and then there's Chronos time, this watch time. And in the Kairos, it's the magical spirit-filled time where what you're doing is inspired and you feel really good. And that always happens when I'm outside. I feel like I lose myself in time.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I have back on the watch time, like I have to do something on the watch, I'm like, oh God, then I put myself back into the box. But everyone needs to make a little bit of time to take care of themselves and to be inspired and to feel good. So that's why I kind of start my day that way. And if I didn't, I wouldn't feel good. So I have to start the day in the morning really getting aligned. So I usually go outside, I go feed the horses, or I go for a run or a ski or something active, because it kind of moves myself and my brain, moves the lymph. And so then I start to feel much better. And then I can kind of handle being inside by the computer.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, I never sit down for more than 50 minutes. I always get up 10 minutes, usually walking to the refrigerator. Maybe that's not so good. But anyway, moving around, even doing like stretches at your chair and like curling and stuff. Yeah, moving.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't meant to sit down.
Right. Yeah. And I've been talking to a lot of people, even people who aren't, and maybe are more like entrepreneur or like creative coaches, where they do a lot of sitting. And the thing that I asked each person, like, what has been the most profound thing for you? And most of them, if not all, has said movement, and to go outside, do yoga, go for their run. So yeah, it's a really powerful thing to really be movement. We're made to move, and we're created that way.
I also surround myself with that high energy stuff too. Like, so if I have to be at my desk, I always have, well, here, I'll show you, flowers.
Yes.
I always have flowers around because of the smell and the aroma.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And the energy of that. And then I always have, oh God, let me see if you can see this, my little pile of crystals.
Awesome. And I saw your salt lamp up there.
Oh yeah, salt lamp. I have all my supporters right around me, like little. I have like
your little cheerleaders.
Hello, can I help you? This is my answering service. No. You have to make it fun for me. Like, if I'm going to sit here, I'm going to be surrounded by beauty.
Right. Yeah. Things that you love, things that bring joy. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more, like, how Women's Quest has evolved and sort of the things that you do.
Okay.
With that. Yeah. I want to know.
So I started Women's Quest 25 years ago. Like I said, I was a professional triathlete. So the very first triathlon, or the first retreat that I did, was in Colorado. And it was all about like fitness. I had all the top people in the world in triathlon. I think I had Scott Molina, who won the Ironman, Aaron Baker. I had Steve Head do the bike wheels. He was, it was like the who's who of triathlon. And I thought it would be like, oh, it's going to be a triathlon retreat. And we did swimming, biking, running, bike fit, and, hiked them over mountains, and it was really great. But then what I noticed is that a lot of people that came, they were already in their fit world, and they already knew a lot. So they weren't as much fun as some of the other people that I had coached that had never done a triathlon before. Mm. So I really wanted to work with people that were more just learning or getting into it. Not just that realm, but people that wanted adventure as well. Mm-hmm. So it kind of morphed from the very early days of one retreat a year to my peak was about 20 to 25 retreats a year. And now I'm back to the same amount of 15 retreats a year, because I actually lead all the trips.
Oh my gosh.
So I get a mini made. Yeah. So I guess I'm a perfectionist, and I want to make sure everybody's having a good time and they get their needs met. But every retreat has the physical aspect. So in Costa Rica, we might be surfing and yoga and the zip line. So that one definitely gets people out of their comfort zone a little bit. It's like, oh my gosh, we've had women surfing. Last October, we had about 10 women that were over 50 learning to surf. So You're never too old. And then we've had all different kinds of age groups that come to the retreats. So for instance, in Peru, you're hiking up the mountains, and I love Peru because the magic of the mountains and the culture. Mm-hmm. We go to Tuscany, and that's another one of my favorites. That one's cycling, wine tasting, a little bit of hiking, and all of our retreats, you know, for the past 25 years, before yoga and meditation was cool, they've all have yoga and meditation. And I always do an awakening of the senses practice in the morning, which is more like Qigong. It's a daily practice that you can take and use every day of your life for connection. So we let's see. Everybody asked me my favorite, and my new favorite might be Iceland.
Okay.
Because no,
Yeah.
I love the horses. The Icelandic water is amazing. Every town has a swimming pool, so that's really great. And so that's really fun. But my local favorite now, I think, is Sonoma. It's Northern California.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, it's just beautiful. It's the Bishop's Ranch. It's up on a hilltop in Healdsburg, California. We do road biking, hiking in the magical redwoods, and yoga twice a day, wine tasting. So all of the retreats have the body, where you're being somewhat physical, the mind, because we do a lot of our talks. So it's abnormal in the way that we do mental talks, or I call them mind games, or how to, your heart's desire, how to, like, you know, invoke that and get that going in your life. So we do a lot of that, because once you get your energy and you start moving, your natural state is creating, right?
Right.
So it's like, oh, so we, you know, it's a natural progression. Like, let's feel good, you know, teach them that, and then teach them how to create. So that's kind of what we're all about. And we do it in all different places, you know, Tuscany, Bali, Peru, Costa Rica, Iceland, Vermont, Colorado, California, Hawaii. Hawaii, we swim with the dolphins. So that is kind of one of my favorites too.
That's awesome. I love that. And I'm all about that too, you know, getting people out of their comfort zones and, you know, the physical body, and getting moving and hiking and swimming and or climbing and doing all those things really clears the mind. And then you're able to, like, you know, dig deeper into yourself and learn to create. So I love that. I love that so much.
And you see what's possible, I think. You know, you
Yeah.
catch a wave, you never thought it was possible. And then you're like, okay, what else can I do? What lessons did I learn from the surfboard? I've learned focus. I've learned to look up. I learned that my mind is kind of creating this drama that I don't even need to listen to. You know, I learned balance. You know, you learn so much from the bike or the surfboard, or you're hiking or you're climbing. They're great metaphors. You know, you go outside and you learn so many tools that you can take back into the office and you know, use in your work, in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that. And I think it's really crucial, like you said, for women to get out there and to do things that are scary, or, you know, not quite you don't have the muscle memory built up. And so they're awkward, but that's kind of where you start to learn more about yourself. So I love that. I'm passionate about that. And
And we take it like
yeah.
that. We take it step at a time. So we take it for people, like if they're going to learn surfing, we take it one step at a time. So we have kind of a little process. So it's not super scary. You know, you hit the edge and then you come back. It's the same when you work with a horse. You hit the edge and then you come back. You don't ever want to push through the edge where you're completely freaked out.
Right.
Then you'll be like run by fear forever. And you want to get into the feel good place. So we make sure that if it's on a bike and you're learning to shift your gears, that you feel confident and you feel empowered. And then you're like, yeah, let's go surfing. And then you're addicted. And then you have to get a new bike or a new surfboard or move to Costa Rica. Oh my God.
Have you had people move?
Oh yeah.
You have. Wow.
Yeah. And
that's awesome.
Ages. You know, I'm finding that the women in their 20s really need the retreats because they're not as fit. They've been grown up with the internet and little phones. And so it's nice to have a mixture of ages.
Yeah. Do you find that you have a lot of mixture of ages?
Oh yeah. I think our bulk is like 30s, 40s, 50s. And then recently, this last trip, we had a lot more in their 50s because it was somebody's 50th birthday party.
Oh, okay.
But I want to say something about age. Like, I'm 56. I learned to surf at 50, and I can still outsurf almost anyone. And age is just a number. It's not even in this world. At Women's Quest, I always say that everybody is 6. We all become 6 again. We rekindle that kid energy. Everybody just plays, and we see what's possible, because I really feel that anything is possible. like for sure, age is a number and it really has nothing to do with it.
I
Maybe
agree.
menopause.
Yeah.
Menopause is a little bit of it was a hiccup. I had about a year of a hiccup there. Menopause. I thought, oh my God, what's going on? My husband said to me, who are you? And what have you done with my wife?
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I totally agree. Age is a number. Yeah. That's awesome. I have not done a whole lot of surfing, but it's something that I would love to get to do, but I'm not like, water kind of terrifies me. It's one of those things. I'm definitely a mountain girl, and so it's the water that I'm like, that's my next challenge.
But I think the water terrifies a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we have had women that don't even swim learn to surf. So, and I'm
Wow.
going to send you a lot of pictures of the people that we've taught to surf. And the
Okay.
other difference with Women's Quest is that I actually have one instructor for every 2 people, and a lot of times one-on-one, because I'm really passionate about it and I want people to learn and to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
So I take the time, I get the best instructors in warm water where it's clean and nice waves, so that everybody can learn. It's not crowded. It's a good place to kind of get over your fears, and enough to know that you have the instructor that's going to wait patiently with you.
Right.
Say, let's just breathe here for a moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having that person to guide you. Yeah, that is so
That's
crucial.
important. Patient people. That's what
Mm-hmm.
you, yeah, sometimes if you go with your husbands or your boyfriends, they push these women way too much. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, forget it. Let's back up a few steps, take it easy and go in to your comfort level to where you feel good. And then you'll feel like this energy in the surge. And you're like, okay, why wasn't I doing this? I forgot. Because you're having so much fun.
Right. That's awesome. I know you probably have so many stories of, all the people that you've met along this journey, but is there one that really sticks out to you, to someone that kind of joined or was on one of your retreats that you really saw a transformation?
Wow, there's so many. I mean, in the very early days, we were going to write a book about it because we kept having all these success stories. And I have to point out, it's not me. I think I make the container and I bring in some
Mm-hmm.
really good ingredients for people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
they really are inspired. But there was this one person who came to our triathlon retreat, and she was about 300 pounds. And we were going to do a triathlon at the end of this retreat. And she did not swim. When she was walking up the stairs, she had trouble. And she was Latino, so she was a different color, and she was a little overweight. And she did not know how to swim. So within that week, I taught her how to swim. And we didn't have her train too much. We just got her to balance on the bike. Like, okay, let's do the training wheels. I would run next to her where she would balance, and then she would walk. She was an attorney, and we had to do it. We went to Denver to do this race, and I told the race director that I'm going to swim with this person. So I basically pulled her around the course. It was a half-mile swim, but I had her hold on to the buoy, and she kind of kicked and swam a little bit, and then I would catch her and bring her a little bit more. But she got out of the swim. We went to the bike. She rode 12 miles on her bike. It's pretty amazing. And then she walked the 3 miles, and she wasn't even the last person.
Wow.
But she had 20 of her family members there at the finish line. It inspired the whole Latino community.
Because that gives me chills.
Yeah, she was very prominent. And then she started riding her bike back and forth to work. And she lost about 180 pounds. Yeah, like in her, she lost a ton of weight and got into healthy lifestyle. I ended up teaching her whole family how to swim. So, she always stands out to me as somebody that you go into a group of people that aren't your tribe, maybe they're different color. But with Women's Quest, it's all ages, all abilities, all colors, all whatever. It's like, come on, you guys, let's just get over that part. And we've had so many success stories. Every single retreat, you'll have, if you have 15 women, everybody has a story, and they're working through something, and boom. It's actually remarkable. And I think it's when women get together with women.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've had co-ed retreats, I've had co-ed Italy and co-ed surfing, and they're wonderful trips. But when women get together, I've heard it's like the oxytocin is put out, like the hugging hormone.
Mm-hmm.
So women are there comforting each other and helping each other and supporting each other. And, you feel like you're invincible in that kind of a group atmosphere. And when boys get together, it's more testosterone, and seriously, because I led a guys group before, and they were like, we want to, they were all like, who got to the mountaintop first, and they wanted to like be king of the mountain. Everyone wanted to be king of the mountain. I was like, oh my God, this is like insane. In Women's Quest, everybody's like, you go first. No, you. They would never want to be the top. They would actually, if it's the really fast person, they wait and help everybody to the top.
That's awesome. Yeah, that definitely sounds like my husband. When
Yeah,
he's in that competitive mode, like, I do not exist.
yeah.
Like, I better not talk to him.
But at the retreats, we do have different levels. So we'll have a beginning level, we'll have intermediates, and we have advanced. So the advanced bike riders, they'll ride 50 miles. They'll go hard. They'll have fun. And because it's really fun to go fast down hills. And then we teach the beginners the skills. And then once they learn, we let them go a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's great that you have all levels. That's really awesome.
It's quite hard. I don't think anybody else does that, because
No, I don't think so.
You have to know what you're doing to get everybody to be together.
So. Like you said, patient people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because do you get a lot of people that have never really done anything outdoors, or do you get a mix?
We get a mix. So we do have a lot that are afraid to go outside, are afraid to travel, have never done a bike riding, or definitely haven't done surfing or gone out of the country. So we really hold their hand a lot there and make sure that they're safe going to Peru and going to these places. I actually research and make sure the places are super safe before we actually even go. But yeah, I do find that people are a little bit more apprehensive. But then we have the younger generation, which are like, I call them the savvy travelers. They find these tickets for like $200. I'm like, how did you do that? They're amazing. So the younger generation is way better at getting their savvy, and they're very more adventurous. And I think the elders, because, we're more, we didn't have fitness even in schools way back when it started. So we came from a generation where in the Olympics, they wouldn't even let us run the marathon. So it's come a long way, baby, is like amazing. The last 20 years, how far we've come is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, pretty incredible. I know you've talked a little bit about this, but how do you find that, like, how am I going to phrase this question? I guess how is being outside and being in the outdoors, being active, how do you think, or in what other ways, if you think outside the box, has it impacted your own life, the other lives of people that have gone through your retreats, and your creativity, and just the way that you process things?
Wow. Well, nature has been my guide since I was a child. So I would call myself a nature kid for sure. And so that connection is huge. I think they say that the earth resonates at 78.8 megahertz or something like that, which is the healing frequency. So when you go outside, how you just feel good. There's, if you're by a stream and has all those negative ions, and there's water and you feel calm and you feel peace. Well, because that's when nature is having a calm day. If it's having a windy day, then you have to deal with that, or a snowy day. But it's impacted my life in a huge way. Without it, I wouldn't be here. I couldn't survive. But nature also has all these patterns. So if you're out there, you get inspired. You're looking at nature and what it does with a flower and how they bloom, and how like springtime is crazy. Because my husband came from California, and when he moved to Colorado, he was like, oh my God, you're not going to believe what happened to that tree today. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're getting buds. He was like, no, it's a leaf. I watched a leaf unfold. When you watch nature, you see a miracle happening. And that gives me more, I don't know, I just love that part of living and being alive, because you get to see the beauty and the color and the shapes. And it's very, mind enhancing and mind blowing. You don't have to go anywhere. You can just sit in your garden. There's actually even a phrase, there's a little quote like that, is like, what's the best yoga or meditation? It's like, just go out into your garden and watch how every flower gently grows toward the light. So it's like, okay, that's our natural state, is growing in that light way. So when you're outside, you can feel a connection. I do a lot of Qigong, which is the connection. It's a Chinese movement, like 4,000 years old, but you're connecting to the earth with your feet, deep into the earth. And then you're connecting with your heart and your head to the heavens. And then, your arms are out, and your heart is open. And that's a really good conduit for nature is like, you are like this walking sun and earth. And so I really love that metaphor as well. But the way that it's, when I go out in nature and I go with a buddy and I go for a run, we become like best partners. Like we're like, therapists for each other. So when I go outside in nature, I really feel like and moving in nature with a buddy, we'd start to talk and we'll start to create. And then if I go by myself and I ever have any troubles at all, I just start kind of going over a little bit in my mind, and a whole new creative juices start flowing and everything opens up for me. And I feel really fortunate that I have the horses. They've been in my life, my whole entire life. And I'll go out and I'll ride the horses to the forest, and it's a meditation, it's an activation, it's an alignment, it's everything. And without nature, I don't think, I mean, I'm maybe a freak of nature. I have to be in it a lot every day, or I don't feel good. And if I don't feel good, my husband's like, have you gone for your run yet today? If I get up and I don't do it, he goes, maybe you should go outside and hug a tree. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. It just has to be me going outside, feeling the fresh air, looking up at the big blue sky. And then okay, I'm happy again. I feel connected.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. I feel that way too. I have to be outside and it's starting to be spring here in the Northwest, and we get the rain in the morning, and then right now as the afternoon we get these cloud breaks, and so they're just glorious. The sun comes out and everything's starting to bloom, and the trees are getting their little buds on it. So I love watching everything, and everything has its time. Like the daffodils are up now, and then the tulips, and then the magnolia trees. And so it's such an exciting time. And I'm like, being stuck in the rain for most of the winter. This time I'm like antsy to just get outside and do things. So.
Well, you have the most beautiful park there where you get to run, where there's like roses every mile or so. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Around
you
June.
have the rain right now. I mean, you have the rain now, but you get the most amazing flowers.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The roses come out in about May, June, and some of them stick, all through summer. They grow like crazy here. I grew like a little rose bush that my mom gave me, and I planted it last year, and it's like this big already. They just grow like weeds.
Oh yeah, it's quite remarkable. Even just watch the process of a rose unfolding. So I mean, if you can't get outside, get a rose and just have it by your desk and just kind of hang out and talk to it, like the little prince. Have your little asteroid there, and because there's whole worlds inside. One little piece of grass. It's quite amazing.
It is. And I think there's so much creativity in our world. And I think the thing that makes us, unearth that and get our creativity out is really being outside. So I'm just really excited about that.
That's why I'm glad you're doing this, because more and more people really need to take a dose of nature.
They do. You
don't need to go to a doctor. You don't need to eat a specific way and do like these yoga poses with your legs wrapped around your neck. You just have to go for a walk outside in your bare feet.
Yeah.
Seriously. If you can do that, you're golden.
Right.
And the more you do that and the more you feel the connection, your stomach is going to release. Your head's going to relax. You'll start making better choices.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we tend to really complicate things because our lives are complicated, and so it's like, how to relax and doing these things must be really complicated too. So
just breathe. Hello. Tools are right here. You don't have to go anywhere.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just learning to simplify, especially when there's like a formula for everything, and it's just like, no. It doesn't have to be that way.
No.
Yeah, that's awesome. I could talk to you forever about the outdoors and all the stuff you do. I can tell you're just
so fun. This is like,
This is so fun, and I can just tell you're just so passionate about it. So I love it. And but if there's anything else that you'd like to tell, during this interview, just something that's on your heart, something that you want to leave the audience with.
Well, I always like to do my favorite poem, and it's by Rilke, and it speaks to all of this, and it goes like this: God speaks to each of us as He makes us. Then He walks with us silently into the night. These are the words we dimly hear. You, sent beyond your recall, go to the limits of your longing and embody me. Flare up like a flame and make great big shadows that I can move in. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going, because no feeling is final. Don't let yourself lose me. Nearby is the country they call life, and you will know it by its seriousness. Give me your hand. So I just love that, because Rilke's like, let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final, this. But the main thing is, don't let yourself lose this connection, this divine, wonderful connection that you are. And going out in nature reminds me of this divine connection, and that anything is possible, and that everything's a miracle.
Yeah.
And not take it seriously. It's like, come on, we have a body. Let's play. Let's get outside. Let's move. I mean, maybe if we were meant to be inside, we'd be like shaped like a computer or something. We need to get outside and play and to have fun. And who cares what you look like, really? I think that's one thing that happens when you're 40, is you get 40 and you're like, I don't really care what I feel like or look like or whatever. I'm just going to do this. The bucket list starts happening. So like, live it now, dream it, do it, like get on it.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you for sharing all your stories. And I've loved talking with you, like loved it. And
thank you. So, well, I'm going to teach you to surf.
Okay. I'm
Work on
excited.
surfing. Everybody's surfing now.
Okay. I'll take you up on that offer, because I would love that.
Great.
So if you want to just, so her link, I jumbled my words. Colleen's link will be below us to her website, and she is offering a discount if you're like, yeah, oh my gosh, I want to go on one of these adventures with her. She seems like a really awesome person. She is offering a discount, and the info will be below us, and please check her out and what she does and all the cool retreats she has going on. So I just want to say thank you, Colleen, for taking
so
time.
Much. It's been really fun.
It has been really fun. So we'll have to do things in the future, and let me know. And I'd love to.
You're really good at this. This is great.
Well, thank you. I've had some practice. I've, interviewed a few other people, and so I feel like I'm getting better at it.
That's great. So womensquest.com, and we'll make sure you guys get the coupon. And if they say they're your friend, or they've joined your program, then I'll definitely give them the discount, or if they sign up with you.
Awesome. Yeah. Great. Perfect.
All right.